My name is Chelsea Quarles and this is Christina Patuga. Today we will be giving you guys an overview of the financial analysis of Best Buy. Just to give you guys a little bit of the company overview, Best Buy is a retailer that provides products, services, and solutions in the technology industry. So this could be anything from appliances to televisions, things like that. Everybody's been in a Best Buy, so you kind of know what we're working with here. Also, the only other competitors in the actual industry of Best Buy are GameStop and Conn's Incorporated. That's much different from who they're actually competing with. Best Buy is competing with Amazon, Walmart, Target, all of these big retailers that are selling appliances and televisions as well, and they're just not doing it as their main focus, so they're not categorized as the same industry as Best Buy. But Best Buy has approximately 1,600 locations. Of these 1,600, 1,200 are the large format stores that has most of Best Buy's lines under one roof. So they have the appliances, they have televisions, they have cell phone kiosks, computers, anything that you could want. The large format stores have a taste of it all. As opposed to their small format stores, there are 400 of these. That is your niche markets, so they're just selling cell phones or appliances. You're going to see these mostly in malls or small shopping centers. The approach that Best Buy is taking is multinational omni-channel, which is a fancy way of saying that they are taking any approach they can to get the consumers the products they want at any time and place they want them. So that's a lot of them going online as a retailer, as far as competing with Amazon and Walmart. So they're just trying to keep up with these guys as fast as they can. Their 6 major operating segments are the consumer electronics, the computing and mobile phones, entertainment, appliances, services, and others. We're going to talk about the percent of revenue later in the presentation, but here's Christina with a financial statements overview.
To be able to understand financial statements a little better, I feel like it's necessary to give a little background to what was happening in the company and what caused numbers to appear the way they are in annual report that Best Buy released in 2018. The first thing that I wanted to mention is that in 2011, Best Buy went international and they built 11 stores in the United Kingdom, which they closed later on the same year. Also, they opened several stores in China that they had to eventually close too. In 2012, the former CEO of Best Buy, Brian Dunn, he resigned during the internal investigation, which caused Hubert Jolly step in and start fixing the situation that is happening in the company. What Hubert Jolly did first, he implemented a new strategy that's called New Blue. Also in 2017, they are trying to implement phase 2 of the strategy New Blue, which called Renew the Blue. And it seems like those strategies are working perfect for them. Also, let me mention that in 2014, when company started making more online sales, revenues went up quite a bit as well. So let's talk about financial statements. I'm gonna present to you today 4 financial statements. One of them is income statement, which shows how company performs. That is the statement that investors are looking at when they're making a decision either invest in company or not. Income statement shows us revenue, net income of the company, cost of goods sold, how much it actually costs to create those products. Also, it's going to show you a comparison of 5 years of the performing of the company. Next statement that I wanted to talk about is statement of cash flow. This statement will show you exactly where money came from and how they exited the company, what company spent them on. So statement of cash flows initially consists with operating activities, financial activities, and investing activities. This statement shows the comparison of last year's as well. just to give you an idea of how company was performing. This is the continuation of statement of cash flow, which actually shows that how much of dividends were paid out, what is the total cash provided in financing activities, and also another one would be a balance sheet, which shows how much the company actually worth. What are the assets of the company? What are the liabilities of the company? How much debt company's in? What are equity of the company? So to be able to compute these financial ratios and do an analysis of those, we used all the information that was showed to us in annual reporting. So the first ratios that I wanted to talk about are liquidity ratios. First one is current ratio. Current ratio initially shows how company can pay its short-term debt and long-term obligations. Current ratio of Best Buy, as you can tell, is 1.48, and let me mention that current ratio for Amazon is 1.04, so Best Buy is actually doing better than its competitor. Another ratio is turnover ratio. Turnover ratio shows how many times the inventory was sold, and turnover ratio for Best Buy is 6.0. Next ratio that we calculated was receivable turnover, which shows how quickly and efficiently company uses their receivables and how fast they can turn them into cash. Another set of ratios are profitability ratios. The first one that we calculated was operating margin. Operating margin compares company's operating income to its revenues. And you can clearly see that Best Buy's operating margin is 4.8. Next one is earnings per share, which we calculated to be 3.81. This ratio shows how many dollars of net income have been earned by each share of common stock. Next ratio that I wanted to talk about would be return on equity, which is 27.1. This shows the profitability of how much company generates on every dollar that shareholders invest in the company. And of course, solvency ratio. Solvency ratios shows you debt to equity, which is pretty self-explanatory. What is the ratio of how much company owes to how much she actually of equity it has. And next one is debt to capital, and I wanted to show that one because capital consists of equity, common stock, preferred stock, etc. And ratio for debt to capital is 27.28. And we're gonna let Chelsea speak on market analysis.
So the market analysis, this is basically just the performance of Best Buy in the market. So the market ratio is alternating between 1.4 and 1.5 over the past few years. So they've had a pretty steady hold on the market, even if they did fluctuate up or down a little bit. As far as stock, Best Buy has had some pretty big fluctuations. As you can see, the really wavy line is Best Buy, whereas the dotted line with the circles is the S&P 500. And then, so you can see compared to the actual average of the stock market, Best Buy isn't performing as well, but it has had an overall increase, even though it does have some bad years along with its good years. But that can be explained because Best Buy is a really trendy, not trendy, but they rely a lot on trends. So if people are buying the newest iPhone, then that's something that Best Buy can capitalize on. But if nobody's buying appliances, that's something that Best Buy's going to hurt with, because if people aren't remodeling their homes, if they're not building new homes, Best Buy's not going to sell a lot of appliances. Accounting policy analysis, as far as this goes, Best Buy does align with GAAP. They have a conservative approach to their accounting. FASB recently made some changes that Best Buy's going to have to comply with. They have come up with a long-term plan that they're going to put in place so that they're in compliance by their deadlines. And we did not find any alarming wording or jargon to try and confuse us while reading the financial statement. Analysis of specific reporting issues. This is what we talked about at the beginning. For consumer electronics, they had 34% of the revenue. Computing and mobile phones had 45%, entertainment 7%, appliances 9%, services 5%, and other being drinks, candy, soda that they sell at the checkout lines, that is almost negligible. So the only areas that saw growth in the past year were consumer electronics and appliances. Consumer electronics had a 5% growth, while appliances had a 7.8% growth. So you can see that they're not really growing a lot in all their areas. As I said before, it depends a lot on the trends that people are buying. So for appliances having a 7.8% growth, that could be people remodeling homes and such. For the consumer electronics, that could be people buying new televisions, they could be buying the latest iPhone, that sort of thing. As far as their multinational approach goes, 92% of their business is still done in the 92% of their business is still done in the U.S., while 8% of their business is done outside the U.S. So you can see that they're very much geared toward the United States market. And that is all we have for you today. Thank you so much. Please submit any questions you may have to the discussion Dropbox.